Today we're gonna go get some bluegill. Get ready for that fall bite. It's already here. I'm late. Oh, let me get my pole, most importantly. But yeah, I'm gonna get stack up on some bluegill and see if I can get some bait in the freezer for the winter. It's a lot harder to catch bluegill in the winter. It's harder on you. The fish don't really want to bite, their metabolism's slow. I'm just going to a little urban pond near me and we're gonna check out the fishing situation. Last time I was here, the water was a little bit low and I'm excited to see what's happening. They weren't really biting last time. I had to jig in some holes in the water, or some little rock holes, and that seemed to be the trick. I started catching some fish. I got some worms, but they're looking a little rough today, so I might have to forage for some bait. Hopefully I get lucky with some of these old worms and we get us a little handful of bluegill. Stay tuned. Okay, I'm at the spot. Real quick, I just want to show you what I'm fishing with today. The lake's way lower than it normally is, but my setup, so fish like to stay warm typically. I'm used to fishing in the summer where they're a little bit closer to the bottom to stay cold. But now that it's a little bit cooler, they might not be so low, but I know that the water insulates them a little bit. Today, I'm just using some 4-pound line on a Shakespeare ultralight, nothing fancy, some cheap stuff you can get at Walmart. I got a little weighted bobber with probably a number 6 or number 4 Aberdeen hook, tied on there with a little polymer knot. If you're unfamiliar with the polymer knot, you check out my catfish leader video or Carolina rig video. I show you a little snippet of how to do that. It's pretty easy. I use that for almost everything. Here's the water level. It used to be up around these rocks up here, so it's down a couple of feet. I believe the only water that feeds into this is storm drain water, and this is a pretty common spot. It gets hit up a lot. There's some people on the dock over there. There's a little perch. Like I said, last time nothing was really biting up here, and there's way more activity. There's a cold front moving in tomorrow, and I'm hoping that the fish are going to be active. Oh, there's a little bit of bubbles. Hopefully I can get some action on that. Let me get baited up, and I'll stop yapping, and we'll see what we get. Okay, so this is the worm situation today. Some of these are getting moldy, rotten. I'm not even convinced there's a single live worm in here, to be honest. But this one's alive, thankfully. I always feel bad because if you keep some of these good night crawlers wet and throw a few scraps in them, they'll stay alive for months. I've had some stay alive for, I swear, 6 months. So since these worms are kind of weak, I'm gonna make the most out of them, and I'll dump the rest out. Hopefully they get eaten. So I'm just gonna use a half a worm. Now I'm gonna get this hook and I'm gonna scrape up one of these guys, and with the hook you're gonna kind of put it on like a sock if you can, and just kind of thread it on there. If you can see, be sure not to let the hook slip out. This worm's getting a little bit crazy. And I always like to thank the worm because, you know, they're sacrificing, they're putting food on my plate. So you end up with the worm kind of like this, partially on the line. Let me make sure you guys can see it. So yep, you see what I'm saying? We'll try that out and see what happens. While going up to the edge, I caught this little frog. It's a little cricket frog, aka Icarus blancardi, or however you want to say it. I took a herpetology class, so I know a little bit of local reptiles and amphibians. But this guy, they're very quick. I didn't think there'd be any frogs right now because it already froze once or twice. So I just wanted to show you guys how pretty these guys are. Little frog. All right, to keep it interesting, I am gonna cast out. You can see a little tree right over there, and I'm gonna try to cast out under there because there might be a school of fish or two waiting for any bugs that might fall off, but that water looks a little shallow, so I don't know if it's the spot. We'll just cast out and see what happens. And can see where I casted. We're gonna wait a few seconds and see if there's any action. Usually in the summer over here, it used to be almost instant. You get a little nibble there, usually some smaller bluegill. I'm gonna give it a few minutes of just casting and we'll see if there's any takers. If not, I'm gonna go old school. I might move around the edge, try out some new areas that I haven't fished in a while and just try it. It's a beautiful day. Like I said, it's about 70, 75 and there's a cold front moving in. Usually, oh, some action right up there. Like I said, they usually hang around these little edges, but we'll see. I'll give it a little second with our bobber set up, and if not, we'll try it out. Try something else out. During this fall weather, you got to be a little bit more patient. It's already starting to get cold. Fish are starting to go into more of a less active. Their metabolism, like I said, is slowing down. They're not trying to move as much, trying to conserve as much energy as possible so they can get through the winter. If you're fishing an urban pond like I am in the winter and you want to try to stay around some structure, I'll be sure to do some winter fishing videos because I love to fish in the winter. No one's out here, it's pretty quiet. If there's a feeder on the pond, you want to try to hit that and stay around that because that's usually where the fish are. Fish are like us, you know, they want to be lazy, they want to have food, structure, housing, whatever, and they don't want to go a whole lot to get it. So in the winter, just keep in mind of those little things. Oh, I'm getting nibbled on right now. I don't know if you can see my bobber, but it's bobbing. Something's messing with it. Let me see if I can find it. Something's just playing with that worm. Probably a small bluegill, small bass, or a little crappie. I don't know if you can see it on there. We're gonna give this a reel in a slot, tiny bit. Oh, you got hit. See, they like it when you just set it there, but then as soon as you start getting away, you know, doing your thing, you know, that's when they want that. They want to start biting on it. Because that food, they can't just nibble on anymore. They got to commit. Let's see if I get anything else in the next few minutes. I see some bubbles in the way. Some of these snails over here, if you can find them, they're very good bait. Anything that you can find that's local to the ecosystem, the crawdad, whatever, fish will tear that up. I've been having little dings play with my bait, but no takers yet. It's about to be sundown in here in an hour or two, so if I ain't getting no more bites, I'm gonna start jigging, and I'll be sure to get that on camera for you. So the regular fishing method was pretty slow, but now I'm just starting to jig, and so I'm taking the bait and I'm just dipping it in between these holes, and this little guy keeps taking my bait right here, but if he's too small, we'll let him go since I'm using him for bait. And I'm not going to be fishing tonight, so, but let's see, he's been taking it underneath this little rock hole, so you just got to keep putting it in front of his face. He won't resist it. Let's see. I can feel him nibbling. Zoom in. So there's the fish. He's a decent size too, so I'll keep him. But see how you just gotta jig it and be a little bit patient, you'll get one. For how fish this spot is and how close he was to the bank, that's a decent size. So it's not the giant bluegill I've caught before, but for this spot, I'll take him. Okay, so for those who haven't caught bluegill before, you can grab them by the gills and they'll put up their spikes like that. So what you gotta do is you gotta kind of come in with your hand. I'm left-handed, so you can push those fins down and kind of grab them, squeeze them. And he has spines down here too, so you can push those down. And since I was attentive, the hook is in his lip, so I can just grab it, kind of push it in the opposite direction. And the hook popped right out. He's good. So I am going to use him for bait. So rather than just throw him in the bucket, I'm going to humanely dispatch him with a rock. These guys get knocked out super easy, and I'd rather have him die quickly than suffocate in a bucket. So I'm gonna say thank you to the fish and get him in the bucket. So after a little tap to the head with a rock, like slightly tap like that, a tap or two, he's gone, he's out. You can see he's bleeding through the gill. He's bait. So thank you, fish. Always got to have gratitude for the fish because they give their life for you. It's their sacrifice. So let's try to catch a few more before it gets dark. Also, it's always nice to have a little rag in your pack so you can get your hands cleaned up after all that fish slime. It's been pretty quiet today. I'm just looking where the fish are at, and I'm gonna see where. I just heard a big splash over here close to the bank, so I think the fish are staying in their holes pretty close to the bank. So we're gonna give it a shot. Put some stuff out here. Been picking up trash here and there. Even though it's a man-made pond, you still gotta keep it clean. So, ooh, it's a little steep down here. So, yep, let's give it a shot. I caught another one, a little sunfish on accident. He's gut hooked. If I can get him out, he'll go back, but if I can't, he's gonna go for the bait. So hopefully I can get him out. Unfortunately, that dude got gut hooked. I got the hook halfway out, and then he moved around and the hook stuck one of his his gills, and he just wasn't gonna make it. So I dispatched him, put him in the bucket. I'll aim for about one or two more. A decent one would be good, but if not, I'll take two smaller ones. And so I'm gonna keep jigging and see if I can get a few more. One or two. One good one would be nice. Would be ideal. We'll try this little hole. Move it over. And some people think they're too good to do a little bit of jigging. And I tell you, it beats getting skunked. I want to go home. I want to have my objective complete, but it's not really, I don't really consider a successful day fishing to be catching a fish. I just want to see fish. Look, you can see that one moving around. I don't know if that picked it up, but there was a fish that you could see its path. He's coming in over here. Something's messing with it. He looked like he did with the tip of my rod. He went over here, did a zigzag. Nope, he's messing with it. Something's down there. So we're just gonna set it in here and let it sit. I'll watch that bobber. And I don't know how much I'll be able to film. My phone's getting a little low, but it's already been successful. I'll show, when I get back home, I'll show you what I do with these when I'm not gonna use them immediately. Because you can stretch this bait out for a year or two if you aren't gonna go fishing for a little bit. I prefer to use a vacuum sealer, and I'll show you how I do it. But some people claim that you can get by using just a freezer bag with some water. I tried that method, and let me tell you, it didn't. I wasn't impressed by the results. The meat still gets soggy. The vacuum sealer, it feels like you just caught the fish yesterday, and it could have been 4 months, 4 months, 5 months. Hell, you can even probably refreeze it if you re-vacuum seal it. And I haven't had any issues, but obviously when you thaw and refreeze, it's not the same. But I'll show you that process, and hopefully I get one or two more fish. So I wanted to share this. So I noticed it's about an hour until sunset, but as I'm sitting here, I'm noticing there's a lot more activity going on, which I know that most fish are crepuscular, meaning they feed mostly in the evening and in the early morning. But I didn't know how they'd react. They've been pretty quiet today. You can see some ripples right over there. But I'm hoping that these fish kind of turn on to feed and a little bit more aggressive. They haven't really touched my bobber, but they're touching them close to the shore. So hopefully we get a little bit more nibbles. Fingers crossed. I'm pretty optimistic. Okay, so this is my food saver. I got this a few years ago around, I want to say Black Friday at Walmart. It was like $70, and compared to what, I either bought it online or at Walmart, I can't remember. But I got it for $70, and these run for over $100 now. I use this for everything, vacuum sealing meat, fit bait, whatever. It's so much better than just freezing it in water, I swear. It's worth the investment. Just make sure to take care of it and prevent any water from getting into the suction part of it. I recommend that when you get these, you can buy some off-brand food saver bags from Amazon. They work good for me. Sometimes they don't seal perfectly, but I noticed that that's if you overfill it or if there's the things you're vacuum sealing are too wet. So I recommend with fish and slimy things, you dry it off as good as you can before, and make sure that the place where you're inserting the fish, like right here, you wipe that down with the paper towel and you put your stuff in there, because that'll help really get a good, nice seal and keep your food or bait fresh. I noticed that it's easier to catch bait in the summer and fall before it gets too cold, because I used to just try to challenge myself and walk down there with a pack of worms and say, let's see what we can get. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. The fish slow down, they move to different depths, different areas. It's just nice to have this, because in the winter, fish really just want one thing. They want meat. They want to have some good, high protein food if it's going to make them move. So you need to put what they want in front of their face. All right, so let's get started on this. So I'm just going to set up this little thing. And then get my fish. I ended up only getting 2 fish. I'm content with that. I already had a fish or 2 in the freezer. This was actually a pretty good fish for that lake or that pond. So I'm just gonna kind of dry him off the best I can. Get all the debris and the slime off, slime especially, on all angles. And what you want to watch out for with these bluegill is you want to make sure their spines don't get stuck. So I like to keep them vertical so their spines don't stick out and poke a bag, and then you just vacuum sealed it for nothing, because this is going to be mushy. So I got him. Kind of pat it off the best I need to. He's still a little bit slimy, but You don't need to have it perfect. Just gonna drop him in and move on to the second fish. Now this fish, I'm thankful for this fish. All right. So this fish is a bycatch. I didn't want him. He was too small, but he took the bait. So we'll use him. He's already here. So I had to make sure he was dead. He had some twitching. He was twitching. He wasn't moving at all for like an hour or two. It doesn't take much to kill these guys. If he's still alive, I'll be shocked because he would have had to survive me fishing out there for another hour. He's not as slimy as the other guy. So we're gonna put him in here. Now we got our fish in the bag, and I'm gonna, like I said, wipe the top off and make sure there's no slime that might mess with the seal. Okay, now we're ready for the food saving process. All right, so for those who don't have a food saver, there's a thing you can hit open, it opens up. They have the food saver bags and stuff in here, but you don't really need them. Take this, kind of put it in this little compartment, close it, operate, and on the top it says the type of food, so it says dry or moist. This is moist. There's a seal option. I don't need that for this bag. The bottom's already sealed. And now we're just gonna vacuum. All right, now the lights are off so I can put it in store mode. And voila, we got our bait for the next trip. This might not seem like a lot. Some dudes will come in there and they'll say things like, bigger bait, bigger fish, which is true in some cases, but not all. I'll show you guys more of my catfishing strategy next time I go out fishing, hopefully soon. And I'll show that hopefully that you don't need that much. You can catch them on worms. You don't need a giant whole bluegill unless you're trying to go for after trophy catfish. But everyone has their own opinion. Everyone has their own lifestyle. I'm not a professional. This is just me showing you how I do it, because I feel like I get a lot more success than the average person. So, yep, thanks for watching. Hope that this taught someone a different way of catching bluegill, or maybe taught a beginner how to catch bluegill. This is how I've done it for years. It's not perfect, but it works for me. So, thank y'all for watching. Subscribe if you haven't. Like, share with a friend if you think it's cool. And see you next time.